to fight on the landing ground.
Thank you for joining us. You are listening to A Radio, and this is The Morning Moment. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. This piece is a piece that I've been thinking about doing for quite a while. It's extremely controversial, but incredibly relevant, considering the naive approach that Americans have just had to the last midterm election. I've entitled it, Liberals in Canada, Liberals in the USA. What's the difference? Answer, in short, there is no difference. If you in the US want to see your possible future and likely future, you need to go no further than look at your neighbour to the north. I've said this before, but I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail. Friendly we may be on the surface, but inside there beats anger by many here for America. It's sad to see, and it's even more sad to say. I think it's born more by envy than anything else. We in Canada have to endure the worst growth in many, many years, similar to what you had to suffer under Obama, but on a much greater scale. Why do I say that? Because Canada has a very small military footprint, and with the Liberal Communists in power in Canada, it's getting even smaller. When this government took power only a few short years ago, it took over a budget surplus, something that Americans aren't familiar with, I know, but don't forget Canada doesn't try and police the world. It doesn't have the ability to do so, thanks to years of Liberal Communist rule. But in a short span of time, socialists, being socialists, have blown all that budget. We are currently running a $19 billion deficit annually, and it's rising. Our country, whilst large geographically, is small in population, being dwarfed certainly by the US population. To give you an idea, our total population only just surpasses, due to 57 genders Trudeau recently, the population of California. That's the legal population of California. However, Trudeau has big plans to overwhelm our culture and fundamentally transform Canada. Now, I know that sounds familiar to Americans. On top of this, we actually have a constitution. Americans may not know that. It's called the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. One of those rights, and I will put the links on my site to it, is Section 2 of the Charter. And I will keep reading this until people realise how fundamental this is, and that's why they call them fundamental freedoms. Section 2 of the Charter is as follows. Everyone has the following fundamental rights. A. Freedom of conscience and religion. B. Freedom of thought, belief, opinion, expression, including freedom of the press and other media of communication. C. Freedom of peaceful assembly. And D. Freedom of association. I go back to item B. Item B has been bypassed, ignored, or as I like to put it, trampled on by Trudeau. In reality, he has actually blown up our constitution. Not a word is heard from the media. Just imagine, if you can, for a moment, that Obama was in power and your constitution had been trampled upon. There would be riots in the streets, I have absolutely no doubt. It would not be tolerated for 1 second. But because the Liberal Communists so totally and utterly control the media here in Canada, nothing. And many like-minded people in Canada believe that the majority of Canadians are oblivious to what's actually happened, believing that they still have free speech. They have the right to speak their minds and have their point of view on anything. But they are wrong. Now, I know what you're thinking. But if Liberals ever get control, and I mean total control in America, they will at some point. They will attack free speech. That is their goal. All else flows from that item. If you can't speak about a report or discuss it or disseminate it in any way, then all else is mute, isn't it? All politicians in Canada are complicit with this act, be them Liberal Communist, NDP, the Bloc in Quebec, and even the Conservatives. They've stood by and done nothing while Trudeau has trampled on our Constitution. Nothing. And I fear it's only a matter of time, purely because of your changing population mix, before even the USA will succumb. Why? Because, as a good friend once said to me, America is too big to control. I'm afraid he was wrong then, and he's wrong now. It will just take longer. If you're in any doubt what your future holds, look at Canada now. You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com, where you can find links to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Gab and email. You can now find us on Spotify. Just go to the podcast section and type Canadian Politics with a Twist and you'll find us. We are continuing to reach out to you, so please pass on the links. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. You can listen to all my morning moments at Spreaker.com under A Radio, that's EHRADIO, A Radio. And please click on the like button. And you can find all my podcasts and morning moments at aradio.wordpress.com and click on the Morning Moments tab.